All right, welcome to the Two Sons Podcast. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy New Year. It's our first time recording. We had some stuff release earlier in the year, but we did that was recorded back in 2023. Happy New Year, everyone.
Last year.
This is what? When did we start Two Sons? Was it 2022?
Yeah, I think it was towards the end of 2022.
Okay, so this is our second full year. We've done like 80-something episodes.
Yeah, we're nearing 100.
We are seasoned veterans in the Star Wars podcast game.
Very well known.
just
setting standards across the board.
We have a big plan for today. We're going to be talking a little bit about skiing because I'm about to leave tomorrow to go skiing to start the season. Luke just had his first day last week. Then we're going to talk Rebel Moon.
Yes.
Knock off Star Wars.
Yes.
We have takes. And then when we get through that, we're going to do a complete summary and reaction to one of probably my favorite Star Wars book ever. I was asked by the Jenkins and Jones guys. I forgot to tell you about this. I was asked by the Jenkins and Jones guys when I went on with them last week about what my favorite piece of Star Wars content ever was.
Wow, that is quite the question.
I was trying to be off the beaten path, but I did say Plagueis.
You're like, Lego Star Wars Holiday Edition. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Are you sure, Jay?
So I leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
My flight leaves at 5. I'm going to Salt Lake City.
Do you guys need a ride?
No, we're good.
Okay,
we're gonna be all right. I think I don't know how we're gonna fit, dude.
I work, so I can't help you. But do you need
traveling is so much more complicated because you're not Ubering. Like Ubering is completely out of the question because you've got to take ski tubes. Like when we go on our friend ski trip, which we leave I think a week from Friday or Saturday. We go to Breck, and there's 6 of us. We have 2 ski tubes that are going to be full of skis.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 different snowboard bags. I have my boot bag. We'll have at least 3 other boot bags. We'll have it is flying is way better than driving when it's like a 12-hour distance. There's no question. Although we've had some good road trips. We've had some great
road trips.
Yes.
The convos in that car between the 4 of us, your wife and my wife and the 2 of us are just
scintillating.
Yeah.
the way you pass the 12 hours. But like flying is objectively better. But it is a huge pain in the ass. Like there's something about like when we go on our ski trip and we just throw everything in the back of the truck. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's very much like it's like you're getting through the terminal to where you need to go. Everyone's carrying all their shit.
And it's super expensive stuff. Like stuff you wouldn't want to get squashed. You know what I mean? Like, ski equipment is durable, but it's very expensive.
There's this moment, though, when you finally get everything dropped off and you're through security and it's like, fuck, we're going on a ski trip.
Dude, I know.
We dropped all our stuff.
How about
Let's go have a drink.
How about this? The night following skiing for the day when no one's been hurt.
Yeah.
And then just having a beer at the bar. Just grade A.
Top notch.
That is the peak of living.
We I was at Luke actually missed it because he had to work, but we had a birthday dinner for one of our friends 2 nights ago. Our buddy Sean, and we were talking about like that first night when you first get into town and you're gonna ski the next morning. And like you're on vacation and you kick back and everyone's got a drink and
everyone's wearing like comfy warm clothes.
Oh yeah, dude. Ski trips are a vibe. I look forward to it every single season. Luke came over to record today and all of our ski stuff is just kind of like splayed out in the living room.
Which by the way, it takes up the entire living room.
Yes. Well, as some people who listen to the show know, my wife's father lives in our guest house, and so like we actually have all of our shit just laid out.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go.
Quite the spread.
But you actually skied for the first time last year, and I heard you want to bitch and moan about snowboarders for a little bit.
Dude, you were telling everyone my deep down thoughts. No, dude, it was first of all, it's absolutely incredible that we have Snowball around. Like we live in Arizona. You and I straight up live in a desert, and we have technically 3 mountains in the state that we can get to at any time that we want to. One of which is Mount Lemmon, which is not great skiing, but they do open up. And that's literally a 45-minute drive from our house, which is crazy. Snowball is I think it's a phenomenal mountain, actually. Like the day that we went, they had just gotten 4 inches of snow like the previous day and night. So the conditions were great. And lift lines were super, super small. The facilities at Snowball are great. But dude, the only thing that's like really not great about Snowball is all the snowboarders. And like that's gonna like for any of our viewers that are snowboarders, this is not just like a blatant attack on snowboarders.
My wife is a snowboarder.
Yeah, like we have people in our party that snowboard with us. Like half of our friends legitimately are snowboarders, but they're snowboarding and they're snowboarding.
Yeah,
and there's,
amateur snowboarders are rough.
Yes, and there's a specific culture. Which sounds so uptight. But
no, Flagstaff is a college town.
It's a college town.
There's a lot of kids on
and
the
it's mountain. And there's a culture that exists in places like Colorado, around ski towns, and Utah, and other places where it's just like it's almost kind of sacred. Like
it's more serious.
Yeah, it's more serious.
More serious.
Like you either ski or snowboard or you don't. There's a lot of people who are dabbling in snowboarding, particularly at Snowbowl, and it creates an absolute mess because you have people that are just stopped laying flat on their back and catwalks getting in the way. Legitimately, Jay, I had a point in time when Elena was skiing in front of me, and it was her first day back on the slopes in 2 years because she was pregnant last year, right? So I was essentially trying to bodyguard her just because of how big of a mess the mountain was. Mm-hmm. And I could feel people just going right around us that were like out of control. So I was hoping that if someone was out of control, I would be hit, not my wife, who's half the size of me. Mm-hmm. So anyways, she's going down. I hear just ice and snow, like, you know that sound when someone crashes where the board's like.
It literally sounds, it's like it's like a.
Yes. Yeah. So I look to my left, and there's a guy that covers the span of like 20 yards in an instant as he's flying down the mountain on his back, crashing. He takes out this woman, right? Just feet go flying up in the air. He's like yelling like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, so sorry." And I was about to like yell at this guy because I'm just like, dude, how about you just, snowboard in control and you wouldn't hurt people. Within 2 seconds, I turn around again and I see the exact same thing happen with a different snowboarder, completely unrelated. Take out another skier.
Oh my gosh. And that doesn't actually happen all that often. Like I see it twice in rapid succession like that. It's pretty crazy.
I got snowboarded over last time we were at Snowbowl.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was the kid that was just terrorizing the mountain.
He was
there was this kid that was just straight up like just deliberately trying to scare the shit out of people. Like he'd ski up at you at like 60 miles an hour and then just cut really hard. Yep. And he was like doing it to all these other people on the mountain.
It's like, point is, like, I feel so blessed that Snowbowl is there. Snowbowl. But I wish that people would just ski within their capabilities because it's a huge danger. Like people die due to collisions.
People die skiing.
Yeah, so that's my take.
Snowbowl is actually really cool for people who aren't really familiar with the geography of Arizona. Like, obviously, we live in southern Arizona, so it's basically desert. But we have decent mountains around us. Like we have 3 mountains that are just in our valley that are over 8,500 square feet, and one of them that's over 9,000. Actually, I think 2 of them are over 9,000. I think Mount Lemmon and Mount Wrightston. But when you get further north, it changes, right? The landscape changes. We get into the Grand Canyon. Well, just south of the Grand Canyon, there used to be this massive volcanic hotspot, and it's like a similar geological phenomenon to what happens in like Yellowstone. Like it's essentially a very thin portion of the crust, or like a thick portion of the mantle essentially that gets close, and the plates actually slide over the top of it. And since then, thicker crust has slidden over the top of it and it's become a non-volcanic issue. But for like, I don't know, millions of years or whatever, like these little tiny volcanoes were like popping up and like shooting lava out and everything in northern Arizona. Well, there's this one little patch where it literally built like these 3 peaks, I think, that are all right next to each other, and they're all like over 12,000 feet tall.
And they're gorgeous.
And they're stunningly beautiful, and they literally look like volcanoes.
Yeah.
There's actually another run called Volcano on Snowbowl, which you look out from, and about probably, 10 miles in the distance? Like 10 miles in the distance, there's another giant volcano that you can see the top of it just blew off one day because it literally looks like all concave in the middle. And it's just this really, really cool thing gorgeous. In Arizona. Yeah. The thing is it's 2 hours from Phoenix. There's a college town right there. So, like, you cannot go on a weekend. If you go on a weekend, it's a complete and total shit show.
Yeah, and they have, like, multiple ski lodges and bars, like, all around the mountain. It's a great vibe. Like, fire pits that are open that you can sit at. It's
extremely
so fun.
Well run. It's
they have a
very
gondola
much
now.
If you go during a weekday when it's not insane lines, it's very much like a Utah, Colorado skiing experience.
Yeah.
Light. Like, it's like 85% of that experience, which is like genuinely a compliment. Like, I think Sunrise, which is this other mountain that's further to the east, and then Mount Lemmon, where we're by. Like Mount Lemmon's absolute garbage, but the Sunrise is just like poorly run. It's not taken care of very well. Like it's not a great experience.
The facilities are a little rough.
We're very lucky that like we're 4 hours away from like a legit ski experience.
Yeah,
we usually do day trips though. Like we usually cook up for you guys went up during the week. We usually will like load up at like 5 a.m. and we'll all pack our shit in the truck and we'll drive up and we'll ski from 9 to 4, and then we'll all hop back in the car and drive all the way home and like stumble back home at like 8:30, completely
and then
exhausted.
Go to work the next day. Yeah,
but it's kind of cool though.
It's cool that we can do it.
Well, and also you almost like it's almost like a surgical approach to skiing. It's like no one fucks around. It's like we are here to ski. We're getting as much vertical as we could get in this 8-hour period or 7-hour period as we can. But anyway, I'm very, very excited. I'm skiing Park City this year, which is the largest ski area in North America.
Dude, Park City's wild. It is a huge mountain.
Dude, lift tickets for 3 days. When we got them, they were like $95 a piece or something like that. Lift tickets for 3 days next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at Park City, $900.
Wow, $800.
So $250 something a day.
Yeah,
dude. When I saw that, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Skiing's expensive.
That freaks me out about how packed it's going to be, though, because it's an algorithm that actually sets those prices.
It gets more and more expensive. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm hoping the snow is decent too, because it's been weird. Like last year, everything got just completely dumped on.
Yeah.
And then this year, the snow has been pretty rough. But anyway, I want to talk about Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon.
So, my first takeaway from Rebel Moon.
I'm so curious.
Was it actually is an interesting take on like galactic advancement in technology?
Yes.
In the sense that like Star Wars kind of builds this concept of essentially a government, a centralized government, and it almost like views each individual planet as like a state.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's very much like we're all in this together and we're in this beautiful democratic society. To me, Rebel Moon has more of like a dark approach to galactic advancement in the sense
to
that
say
like,
the least.
It's much more along the lines of like literally like colonialism or
it was very
it's very much more about this idea of like one singular entity becoming so powerful that they essentially just spread almost like a virus through the galaxy.
It was Roman Empire-esque.
Yeah, and they're just like putting everybody underneath their thumb, and it's like it's very
lead by fear.
Yeah, it's very, there is something about this in Star Wars, the Rakata Infinite Empire is what they call it, and it's basically a tale that the Sith and the Jedi tell, which is based on like something about 25,000 years before. I think it's like 25,000 years before the like time of the current canon. And like there's this one singular entity of Force users that spreads through the galaxy, and they're users of the dark side, and they basically just like rule everybody. And that kind of was where Rebel Moon sets up, which I think was a really interesting kind of like different dark take on galactic kind of like advancement.
From a cinematic piece, like purely just visuals, how did you like it? What did you think of it?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was very like. This is very much a Zack Snyder thing.
Yes.
Whereas like I just imagine him sitting in the production room, and the guy's like the nerdy guy's like sitting in front of the giant Mac computer, and he's sitting there and he's like, yeah, like, no, like slow motion right there.
Slow motion.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
You know what would look really cool right there? Slow motion.
Slow motion. Dude, everything.
Is he running and jumping? Slow motion.
Everything was slow motion. It wasn't even running and jumping, Jay. There was a point when people were walking out of a spaceship, and then it was just slow-mo walk down the spaceship. And it was like, it wasn't even like a straight-on angle where you'd expect a slow-mo gizmo shot. Like, we're talking like just benign walking out of a spaceship, and then it's just like a flip of the cloak, you know, for like no reason at all. Like there was so much slow-mo. The other thing, visually speaking, it was cool. Like it was beautiful landscapes.
Yes.
The way that they portrayed the starships were really cool because they were a lot more like fuel powered. Like in Star Wars, like, they have, you know, their boosters and their engines that you can see, but it's all really clean. Like all of a sudden they just kind of lift off the ground and then fly away. Yeah. It's kind of quiet and it's like very like electric vehicle-esque versus like diesel-esque, you know? And then these ones are way more diesel vibes. Like the engines are blaring. You can see exhaust coming out of them. It seemed like way more legitimate. But it was interesting because there was parts of the movie where the CGI was incredible.
Oh yeah.
There was other parts of the movie too where the CGI looked like it was straight out of a Nintendo 64 game, and I was just like, man, they ran out of time there, or they ran out of budget there. There was a couple scenes where I was just like, ooh, like that does not look good.
I would say that the movie was overwhelmingly cheesy.
Yes.
Yet I enjoyed watching it.
So that dude, I love that take. I agree. And even Elena liked that. And like we're halfway through the movie and I was like, you're hating this, huh? And she's like, actually, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, yeah, I like that. It was definitely foreseeable. Like that one scene where that guy is trying to like tame the
eagle bird
thing.
Pegasus
and then leading into that, I'm like, watch, he has this one bond that only he can have with the bird, and he's gonna calm the bird down, and he's gonna jump on it, and the bird's gonna try and kill him, and he's gonna tame the bird. And then like sure enough, that's exactly what happens in order until the very end.
Well, that whole scene was hilarious to me because he's in like a lifetime indentured servitude kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, so some weird guy.
And I'm not sure if it was lifetime either. It was like years, but it was like so he had this like really significant amount of debt that he was in. So like presumably, let's just like come up with like a real life number. So like if you were in so much debt to me that you had to work for me for
15 years.
For 15 years. I would assume that means you're like at least $400,000 in debt to me.
At least,
you're in a significant chunk of debt with me.
You owe some space bones.
So this guy's like, all right, if you tame my Pegasus space bird, then I'm gonna free you, right?
Yes.
That's like that's the premise, right? So like he rides the bird.
Yes.
And then he lands it and he's like, all right, I did it. And then the guy's like, okay, you're free. See you. And before he even gets on the ship, the thing kills the guy.
Dude, and the way that the bird killed the guy was actually pretty interesting because the guy's on his back and he puts his talons over his chest and then squeezes and then impales like his heart, probably both lungs,
everything,
probably a spleen, maybe throwing a liver, and definitely some intestines. Like there's no coming back from that.
No.
That was like a very interesting kill move. And I liked it. But like with Zack
Snyder,
a
terrible negotiation on his part.
Oh, dude,
like,
terrible.
Can I at least get can I be like, hey, dude, can you hang out for like 2 weeks to help me with like follow up training? And
no,
then,
I know.
Maybe then you guys can go save the galaxy.
Also, that part of the movie too, it was a little bit rudderless, meaning like I didn't really understand what was going on. Like they're on this quest to go and meet up with this
their teammates,
potential army. And then they're like, oh, we've got to do a side quest though because I know a guy. And then they go and do that, and then he does some badass shit on camera, and then he's part of the clan, and then they go and do that again with some random chick, and then they meet that weird Spider Woman, and they have to kill the Spider Woman.
Oh, yeah, the Spider Woman! Dude, I forgot about that.
It was all over the place, and it was very much like 300. Meets Star Wars, meets Gears of War.
It definitely had that like Sin City 300 like comic booky vibe going on, which I appreciate. Here's the thing, like I thought it could have. I thought that the movie would have been better with like half as much slow motion because it got so so out of control where it was like, really, we're doing this again.
Yep.
But like it didn't bother me. I just remember sitting there thinking like, yeah,
this is distracting.
You didn't need it right here.
Yeah.
But you know what it reminds me of is like. The scene you're referencing, the rudderless part where they're like adding cast members. It reminds me of like Ocean's 11, where they're like, "Wait, we need to rob this bank, right? Well, we need to get it. We need a tech guy. Dude. We need a soldier. We need and then they just like, and it's always like it's so
funny.
The movie is full of these kind of like tropes too, where it's like, oh, you mean to tell me there's an ancient general who is like the most badass general in the galaxy, but he doesn't want to fight.
I know he doesn't want to fight anymore. Like, unless you just poke the bear one more time, and then he's like, okay.
Yeah, he's like,
give me my axe.
Will you fight with us? No, I can't. It's like, will you fight? All right, fine.
All right, fine. I'll do it.
That was definitely a rudderless scene.
But dude, here's the deal about Ocean's 11 too. First of all, it's funny you mentioned that because Ocean's 11 is top 15 favorite movies of mine.
Excellent movie.
Oh, I love Ocean's 11. The way that Ocean's 11 goes about introducing the cast members is so much more sophisticated than what this movie was.
Yes.
Which again, like, you can't expect much. We're talking about, you know, the maker of Dawn of the Dead and 300. like we can't expect that much sophistication.
His specialty is slow motion.
Yes, his specialty is
building.
badassness.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking to his crew at the end of the day. Did it look cool? Yes or no?
Yes, thumbs up or
Yes.
thumbs.
Yeah. Go home and enjoy your families. Then we won.
We did our job.
Yeah. How was your take on like how Star Wars-esque it really was? Like, are you okay with like the absolute bumming of materials that occurred? And again, like Jay and I are talking about how we liked the movies, so don't get all complaining about us, and don't freak out about our take. You know, don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But
I didn't think it was too Star Wars-y. Like I thought it had like a baseline Star Wars kind of vibe, but like
agreed.
It was the political kind of system was different. There wasn't like anybody with magical powers, which I appreciated.
I like that.
Like it honestly was like there was like a ripoff of like the cantina scene that we see in every single sci-fi where it's like we need a and they kind of ripped off the Star Wars thing too, where they were like in this like bar thing, and then they have to have like 4 cut scenes where it's like just a bunch of aliens sitting at a table.
I know.
And
those aliens were
like
weird
doing a
too.
Weird drug too. Like there's always an alien that's like oh, it's time for me to smoke my pipe, and they like stick it in their armpit or something like that.
Or dude, how about this? That one weird alien that was like this essentially brain bug, and then he was connected into this human, and he was talking through the human.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked to watch. Like I did not like that. That was very uncomfortable.
That reminded me of like Mass Effect kind of, because there's a specific alien in Mass Effect that's just a giant brain. And it's like got tentacles, and it has a similar kind of vibe.
There was some tentacle vibes too. The general guy who is the main antagonist, he was doing like freaky alien sex,
he was doing freaky alien sex stuff, and he kind of created a bunch of new orifices too. For it was
like that was odd. No, but the whole entire Star Wars spoof thing. Okay, I'll say this in Zack Snyder's defense, like Star Wars is elite. And most badass things that can be done around space, Star Wars is already doing. Like they have filled up that space.
They've tread that ground.
They have filled up that space. And like if you're about to make a space movie, which I'm all for it, go for it. That's a really cool concept. Like there's a good chance that Star Wars has already done that. I get that. Having stated that though, there was legitimately a spin-off of a lightsaber in this movie. There was the mention of a dreadnought, which is very Star Wars-esque. Not only Star Wars-esque. Dreadnoughts are actually like old-timey battleships, right? There was the mention of a hyper launch as well, which is very Star Wars-esque.
It looked like they were doing like it almost looks like wormholes. Did you see that? Where like the space time would like rip open and the ship would like fly through and then it would like close.
They essentially had a back to tank scene.
Yeah, back to tank scene.
They mentioned the word backwater, which is super Star Wars-esque as well.
Yeah, backwater world like Tatooine.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, like there was a lot there, man.
That's
like
fair.
that's a pretty long list of Star Wars spoofs.
I remember thinking like
Spaceballs.
evil empire kind of concept. I remember thinking Rebels. I remember thinking like the cantina scene type of vibes. We even had a lightsaber sighting. Like there was definitely a lot of the ripoffs, but I thought it had enough of like I thought it was way more annoying what The Force Awakens did.
Oh. Yeah, I mean,
because they straight up ripped off the plot of their own franchise.
And so to scale this, like, I know I enjoyed this way more than I did episode 7, 8, 9 of actual Star Wars. So like, am I complaining that much about it? Not really. Like, these are just my honest takes. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh.
I told Jay before the episode, I was like, my first note for this movie was Star Wars but less palatable, and I'll stick with that.
It was repackaged Star Wars. It was definitely a money grab. I'm okay with it though. It did look like it started to open up some more interesting plot stuff towards the end that'll be in the sequel.
Like that there's that robot
the robot was interesting. It was way too human-like, right? Star Wars is way better at droids than everybody else.
Oh, I think that was their goal though. I think they wanted him to feel very soft.
I didn't like it though.
You didn't? I liked it. That's funny that you say that. I liked it. What I liked about it is they definitely left it in reserve, and it creates a lot of interest for movie number 2. The other thing that I liked about it too is There was even like a lot of Japanese themes. I don't know if you noticed this, but like some of the pistols were legitimately like works of art that had like engraved metal.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
The whole entire styling of that robot, I forget his name, was very Japanese-esque, and it was, I thought that was really interesting to me and pretty cool. But it's funny that you thought he was too human like.
Yeah, the droid just like it was more in the CGI than the
I see. I see.
Star Wars is just so good at droids, man. They're just so
the
good
mix
at
of the mix of like animated effects and practical effects unmatched for any other movie. One
of the big ones too is like even in the personality, there's a human quality to droids in Star Wars, but it never steps into like full humanity. It always has like a little bit of a I'm following protocol kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like this goes against my programming or whatever.
For sure,
like
man.
Whereas like this was like this entity seemed to almost even like make its own decision. By the way, speaking of special powers, apparently like the special fancy kingdom, whatever they call it, the home world.
Yes, the mother world.
The mother world apparently had like the king had like some daughter.
Oh yeah,
and then she had like some sort of magic power.
Yeah, she could breathe life back into things.
That's right.
Died.
She could like breathe life back into things that have died. Yeah. So they were going down some interesting route there, and that's right. And then our main character chick was actually like her bodyguard.
Yes,
and I think that could be why she like left after the murders. But it was good. Again, like it served its purpose for what it was. It was like a big budget streaming movie. Like it was like I think a $150 million budget, which is. I think that's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like roughly half of like what an Avengers Infinity War would do.
Wow.
But again, doesn't go to theaters; it goes straight to streaming.
Yeah.
And I thought it served its purpose fine. I enjoyed it. I'm a big sci-fi guy, so like you don't have to hit a very high bar for me to enjoy a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Overall, I'd watch it again, and I'm excited for movie number 2.
All right. That's all we have for this particular episode. Our next episode, which will be releasing here in a couple of days, will be covering Darth Plagueis, a summary and reaction. We'll
Check
see you
that
guys
out
then.
Thanks a lot.